Hello. Hey, I see Miles has logged on. Hi, Miles. Hi. Hey, guys. Hi, Mike. Jack, hello. Oh, this is awesome. So glad that you guys are joining us. Hi. Oh, this is awesome. Hey, from Los Angeles. Hey, Amy. Hey guys, good afternoon. Hello, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Mallory Cave. I am a pilot for Alaska Airlines. I'm a first officer, so that means I sit in the right seat of the airplane. You're walking onto the airplane, you look to the left, that's the captain, you look to the right, that's me. Hey, sitting in the right seat. I fly the Boeing 737, absolutely love that airplane. And I have been with Alaska now, it'll be 3 years in November. So hello. And also just want to give a shout out to my Alaska Airlines employees. If you guys are tuning in, thank you so much. Hey, for being here and being a part of this chat. I appreciate that. Aviation Day is just super special and important to us here at Alaska Airlines, and we're not able to meet in person, but you know, man, thanks for technology. We're able to celebrate this year's Aviation Day virtually, and I'm just so honored to be able to kick it off with you guys today, answer some questions. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Write in the comments if you guys can hear me okay. But anyway, so super excited to have you guys here today and to answer some questions. Before I jump into some questions, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about me. So I am from Washington, D.C. If I have any East Coasters out there listening, hey, I was born and raised in D.C. I was a junior in high school when I had decided that aviation was what I wanted to pursue. So I, from there kind of made the decision. I was only looking at colleges that offered aviation as a major. Went to college, graduated with a degree in aviation flight, and then after that I was a flight instructor for just under 2 years before I started at my first airline, SkyWest Airlines, a regional airline. I was at SkyWest for about 6.5 years before I got hired on with Alaska, which is where I am now, and just super happy and grateful to be a part of such a wonderful company. So that's just a little bit about me. We'll dig a little bit more deeply into that and my background as we answer some questions. So here we go. We got a lot of great questions from our viewers on Instagram. So I'm gonna start it off with Katie Holt's question. So Katie, if you're listening, this one's for you. You had a really, really great question. Katie asked, would you recommend a flight program through a 4-year university or attend an independent flight school? Great question. So for me, I decided to do both. I'm kind of a kill two birds with one stone sort of mentality. If I can accomplish 2 tasks at the same time, that's just more efficient. So I decided to not only go to college, but to also do my flight training while in college. One great thing though about aviation, I should mention, is that there are several different pathways and several different ways you can go to get to being a pilot at a major airline. There is no one way, which is fantastic. But the way that I chose was to go and get my degree and then also work on my flight training. So it was great because, I was able to kind of combine those two things. And, if you have the discipline for it, I to answer your question, I would recommend it. Just because, again, you're not only graduating, when you finish school with a degree, but you also have all of your flight ratings as well. So I found that to be super helpful. Great question. Okay, so Tupac Aguirre, he or she, sorry, I'm not sure. How long did it take you to complete flight school? So great question. I'm probably going to be saying that a lot because these are some really great questions. So how long did it take me to complete flight school? So I did school, I did my flight training while in school. Sorry, one second. Okay. I did my flight training while in school. And so typically for aviation flight majors, this is a 5-year program. Just because, you've got to get through a lot of ratings. It's very weather dependent. If it's great weather, you can fly more. But, and then also for OU, we were requiring, the school was requiring you have your certified flight instructor instrument rating, your CFII, upon graduation. So there was a lot of different ratings and certificates that you had to go through. And so, a lot of the students taking 5 years in order to accomplish that. However, I was able to graduate in 3 years with my degree in aviation flight. And simply the way that I did that was by staying over the summer. So, to all of my high school students out there that are listening and maybe thinking about aviation and pursuing that in college, I would highly recommend you staying in school over the summer to fly. I honestly couldn't imagine being away from an airplane for 2.5 months anyways, during the summer. And it was also a great way to, kind of get ahead and just, stay in an airplane and keeping all of that knowledge and skill just fresh. Again, I went to Ohio University, so the winters were not the best time to fly. There was one winter where I literally flew one time in like a 2-month span, which was just horrible. So the summers were prime time for flying. And so I would stay there over the summer to fly, and then my mentality, could be the nerd in me, I'm not sure, but I was just like, well, since I'm here flying, might as well take a couple of classes as well. And so between flying and taking classes during the summer, that allowed me to be able to graduate a year early. So I was able to complete that in 3 years. So to answer your question, it took me 3 years. And then just to... when people throw out these numbers, oh, it'll take this long or take this long, don't get discouraged by that, because really it's up to you. If you're motivated, you can get it done, and you can get it done efficiently. And so I was motivated. I really enjoyed flying. I love being in an airplane, so that helped me out too. Okay, next question. This one's from Christy, P22. Hey, Christy, if you're listening. Christy asks, what is your favorite thing about being a pilot? That's a great question. I would have to say traveling. I love traveling for work. I love traveling for fun. I just love traveling. So traveling would be my favorite thing for sure. Okay, next question. This one's from Alex Schultz. Hey, Alex. Alex asks, how did you get into the aviation field, and what was your path to becoming a pilot? Great question. Hang on one second. Okay, so how did I get into aviation? No one in my family flies airplanes. I do not come from an aviation background at all. It was actually a little bit random when I did tell my parents when I was in high school that I wanted to pursue aviation. It was like, where did that come from? But I mean, I really enjoyed flying in airplanes as a passenger. I was 7 years old. My parents had surprised my older sister and I with a trip to California for Christmas. And what made that trip so special, other than going to Disneyland, which was awesome, was flying on an airplane. So, I'm this 7-year-old kid. This is my first time on an airplane, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was awesome. It was fun. It was a great experience. And that was kind of my introduction to aviation. And I just held on to that feeling when I was thinking about, what I wanted to pursue as a career. And, my thought process was, if it's this much fun flying in an airplane, from the back, imagine how much fun it would be up front. And, from that moment on, just decided to pursue it. And then the second part of Alex's question, what was your path to becoming a pilot? So again, there are several different ways to get to being a major airline pilot. There's several different pathways. There is no one way. The path that I chose was the civilian route. I didn't go to the military or the Air Force or anything like that. I just strictly civilian. So my path was, one, finding a college that offered aviation as a major. Like, that was my weeding out process. I was only interested in going to a school that had aviation because I knew I wanted to do my flight training while in school. So I went to a college that offered aviation as a major. And then from there, I graduated with that flight instructor certificate. So you have to build hours in order to go to a regional airline. I graduated from OU with about 300 something hours, and airlines, you had to have a minimum of like 1,000. So it's like, well, man, where am I going to get the 700 hours from? So again, several different ways you can do that. The way that I chose was to become a flight instructor and was to teach. And that's how I built that flight time and built that experience, was by flight instructing. So after college, I was a flight instructor. And then after, gaining that time and experience, I was hired at SkyWest Airlines. And again, to get to Alaska required a certain amount of flight time and experience as well, more than, a regional airline. So I needed to gain that time and experience at SkyWest, which is what I did. And then, and then I was hired at Alaska. So that was kind of my path to getting to where I am today. Great question. Okay, Lisa Reader 8. If you're listening, Lisa, your question, what's your route? Great question. So typically, and you might think this is weird. I mean, this isn't the norm. This isn't the norm, but I personally liked flying the red eyes, which I know sounds crazy. Who wants to fly at night? I do. So my route, if you will, because your schedule changes, but what I like to bid for were the red eye flights to Baltimore. And there's a method to my madness. So, you're flying all night. You get into Baltimore at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you have the whole rest of the day there. And again, me coming from the East Coast, I've got family in DC. This was a great opportunity for me to be able to see my family. And I love that, because it was like, I'm at work, but not really, like I'm at work, but I'm still able to see my family and just really make it an enjoyable trip. So, that would be my favorite route, is doing the red eyes to Baltimore. Okay. Next question. This one's from Lil's Nickel, and they ask, how did you get into aviation? Kind of already answered that one. What is your favorite plane to fly? Boeing 737. And what's the best advice you would give a middle schooler interested in aviation? Ooh, that is a great question. Hold on one second. Man. The best advice I would give a middle schooler. You've probably maybe have heard this several times, but math and science, I know, not the most fun, but it will really help you out in the long run. If this is the career that you want to pursue, really dig deep into your math and science classes right now, because it's going to make your flight training just a lot easier if you already kind of have that strong foundation. So I would recommend, just really studying up hard in those math and science classes, talking with your teacher, getting that extra help if you need it, just really making sure you understand the material and you're not just memorizing it for a test. And then, you dump all that information. Don't dump all that information. Really make sure you're studying, you're, digesting all that information, because if aviation is the career that you want to pursue, those two subjects will really help you out in this industry. So, great question. Now that I kind of got my Instagram questions out of the way, let me look and see. Okay, so Heather Lotto, you asked, how many years have you been flying? Great question. I took my first flight 2007. So I've been flying for a little over 13 years now. Let's see. What does the badge mean on your tie? This is just a little pin, a little angel pin that my mom got me years ago. It says joy, And I like it. It's a great reminder, even for those hard days, to just always have joy. Is it hard learning all the controls? Emma McLaughlin asks. That is a great question. So aviation is not the easiest career, but I find that makes it more rewarding. The fact that it's hard work and it takes sacrifice. So, is it easy learning all the controls? No, it's not easy, but, and that is also just something great about Alaska Airlines. We have fantastic instructors that teach you all of that. We have something that's called flows. So, when you step into a cockpit, it can seem really intimidating. You've got all these buttons and switches and things are flashing at you and making noises, and it can seem a little overwhelming, but we have a flow, which is a system of how we, kind of walk through each panel and walk through each switch. And it helps you not forget a switch. It also helps you to, remember what each switch does. So we have several things in place that, kind of make this overwhelming situation much more manageable. Great question. I see some more. What was it like to fly a plane for the first time? That's a great question. Coco Loco 6. What was it like to fly an airplane for the first time? Oh man, I don't even know if I can put into words. It was cool. That's probably how I would describe it. Cool, like the coolest thing I had ever done up until that point. The takeoff roll was amazing. You're starting off slow, you're picking up speed, gaining momentum. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. Actually being the pilot in control, the first time that I ever, flew a small airplane, it was really cool. It was an adrenaline rush. It was an amazing experience. The only way that I can, I guess, I don't even know. You just have to get in an airplane. You have to get in an airplane. You have to try it out. You have to do it. It's a lot of fun. I won't disappoint. Okay, so I also have some other questions too here that people have asked. Someone asked me, what is my favorite airport to fly to? That's a fun one. Okay, so I flew to Sitka, Alaska, here at Alaska Airlines. Go figure. We do a lot of flying up in Southeast Alaska and just pretty much all over there, and it's so much fun. The flying up there is amazing. And so I was up there doing IOE, Initial Operating Experience training, and I had the privilege to fly into Sitka, and it was such an incredible airport. I had never been to Sitka before, and it was kind of a cloudy day, but when we broke out of the clouds, it was beautiful. You see all these homes on like what looks like all these little islands, and then the airport is kind of like on its own little island. It was so picturesque and really, really beautiful. Great overnight. I would have to say Sitka to answer that question. Okay, let's see. Okay, someone asked, what is your favorite part about flying airplanes? My favorite part. So, one, the takeoff roll. I think the takeoff roll is so much fun. It's awesome. And it just keeps getting better. The faster the airplanes that you fly it makes it so much better. And then also the view up there is it's unmatched, it's unobstructed. You don't have to worry about there's no one sitting in front of you blocking it. You just have this amazing view. The best sunsets and sunrises are I've seen is just from up in the air. So I would have to say the view and the takeoff roll. Any tips for applying to a regional airline? Connor McAvoy asks. Yes, great question. Okay, tips for applying to a regional airline. So I also do a little bit of recruiting for Alaska as well, and some things that I like to ask people who are looking into, going to a regional or even, going to a major, finding that major airline for them. What's important to you? You know, what are some things that, you know, you want in your career? You know, are you just worried about how much money you make, or are you worried about, you know, the bases that the, you know, airline has, or the airplanes? You know, you need to find what's important to you so that you can kind of better match yourself, because, you know, it's awesome. There's a lot of different choices out there for airlines, and they're all kind of different and unique in their own way. For me personally, what was really important to me are my crew members. I found that, you know, my longest trip is a 4-day trip. And I have found that if I have to go to work and spend 4 days away from my family, I want to spend it with people who are fun and who, you know, lift me up and are motivated and excited to go into work just like me. And that is something that I just absolutely love about Alaska Airlines is our crews. Our crews are amazing, and they're fun to be around. They're fun to be away from your family with, you know, it just, they make the overnights and the layovers a lot of fun. So for me, that was something that was really important, were the crew members, you know, the employees. Who am I going to be working with? Who am I going to be flying with? And so you just kind of want to match yourself to the airline that best fits what's important to you. So great question, Connor. Okay. Someone asked, if there was anything you could change in the journey to becoming a commercial pilot, what would it be? Ooh, that's a great question. So, let's see. There really isn't anything I would change, only because I'm a believer in, you know, I got to where I am today because of those things that I went through. So I wouldn't want to change anything per se. However, you know, to my high school students who are, you know, if you're thinking about, you know, looking into colleges for aviation, and then also to people who are doing flight schools independently, if you're looking at which flight school you should attend, just something to keep in mind. Weather is really important. I kind of mentioned that a little bit ago. It plays a huge role into whether or not you can get your flights completed. So maybe pick a school in like a nice weather climate. Ohio, like I said, the winters were a little rough. Wasn't able to fly as much as I wanted. If I were to have gone to school in like Arizona, where you can fly pretty much every day there, you know, that might have helped expedite things. But just food for thought. Just think about, you know, and that's something that I didn't think about. You know, I didn't, again, have an aviation background. So these were things that I didn't really think about. But yeah, you know, going to school in a nice weather climate, that would have been nice. That would have helped. Okay. Someone asked, what was your longest flight that you flew as a pilot? I want to say Boston. So I flew LA to Boston, and it's not really that long of a flight in the air, but I don't know if anyone listening has been to Boston, Logan Airport. It's pretty busy. A lot of airplanes fly in and out of there. And so we were on the ground for just a long time. So, I mean, like literally, I'm not even exaggerating. We were like number 15 in line for takeoff one time. I mean, there were so many airplanes just flying in and out of there. We were like number 15. So if you tack on the ground time and then the flight time to LA, I would have to say Boston was my longest flight. Oh, hey, someone from Boston. Yes. Okay. So you guys know about how it can be there sometimes. Someone asked, what is your favorite airplane to fly? Oh, that's such a great question. I didn't catch your name. But what is my favorite airplane to fly? So obviously right now I'm flying the Boeing 737. Love that airplane. But when I was in flight training, I did my commercial training on a Beechcraft Bonanza. F-33A was the model. If anyone has flown a Bonanza, that is my favorite GA airplane. Absolutely love flying that airplane. It was a lot of fun. If you go through your flight training program and there is a Bonanza out there for you to fly, I recommend doing it. It's a fun little airplane. Okay. Hi from Jamaica. Hey. Oh, someone asked me something in Spanish. Okay, Aiden wants to know if you've ever seen lightning while flying. Oh, hey. Okay, side note, Aiden is my nephew, so hey. Have I ever seen lightning while I was flying? Yes, I have actually. I have seen it, and I have to say the views of lightning up in the air are a little bit different than seeing it on the ground. Yes, to answer your question, I have seen it. Hello from New York. Hello. This is great, guys. Oh, wow. Someone asked, what plane have I flown? Oh, man. A lot. A lot. I started out, I'll just give you the first and the last. So the first airplane that I flew, I started out my flight training in a Cessna 152. It was a plane that could seat 2 people. 2. And now I'm on a Boeing 737 that can seat up to 178 people. So pretty awesome journey comparison there. Okay, let's see. Someone asked a great question. Where is it? Oh, they asked, wait, I thought I saw it. Where did it go? Oh, okay, here it is. Sorry. They had asked, is it hard to be away from your family while you're flying? And that is such a great question because that is something that we want to, think about and consider in our career. Is how can I, manage a career and then have my personal life as well? So fantastic question. Again, just going back to kind of what I've already said and something that I really love about flying for Alaska are the crews. So when you are away from your family for those 4 days or 3 days or 2 days or maybe even more or less, however long, it doesn't really feel like you're away only because you're working with such great people that just have a great energy. And like I said, they're excited to go to work just like you. So that really, really helps as well. But then also another wonderful thing about being a pilot and just being in the airline industry, as many trips as I can, I try and bring my family with me. So, if I have a trip that, I have a long overnight in Hawaii, let's say, I'll try and bring my husband along with me on the trip. And if I've got to fly over Christmas, that's hard to have to work over holidays. But, on trips like that, I'll try and again, just bring my family with me, bring my husband with me, fly to the East Coast and go see my family. And that really helps because, you just find yourself just so looking forward to going to work because, you get to fly with great people, you get to spend time with your family, bring your loved ones on your flight with you. So yeah, great question. You can definitely do both. You don't have to choose. Okay, let's see. I want to answer some more of these live questions. Ooh, Emma. Another question from Emma. How many hours do you work a month? That's a great question. Because it kind of fluctuates, which in my opinion is another great thing about just the aviation industry. You can kind of decide how much or how little you work, which is great to have that flexibility. Typically I'll work, roughly at least, 75, 80 hours a month. And that just means flying, it would probably be easier for me to measure that in days. So like my longest flight during the day, it's like 6 hours or 6.5 hours. Typically I'll average about 4 hours of flight time a day. But it's, it's up to me to decide pretty much when I do my schedule. Maybe it's December and, you've got Christmas coming up, got to buy gifts, all that stuff. So it's like, well, maybe I should work a little bit more this month. And it's great having that opportunity to work more or less if I chose to. Okay, let's see. I like these questions that are coming in. They're a lot of fun. What variant of the 737? Oh, okay, this is from Peanut Boy. Okay, I think Yes. Okay, so I fly the 700, 800, and 900 variant of the 737. Okay, someone just asked me to talk about my simulator experience. No, I mean, just so part of our training, we have to do training in a simulator, which is like simulating the airplane that you're flying. So we have 737 simulators, and you do have to do a portion of your training in a sim, which is great because, it's a great place for you to, kind of work out those kinks and kind of get a feel for the airplane without necessarily being in the actual airplane. It kind of gives you that simulated flight representation of what it's like to actually be in an airplane. So it's a great training tool. Okay, so let's see what else. Kind of talked about that. Okay, so someone asked, what were the hardest struggles you had to go through to reach your goal of becoming a pilot? That is a great question. So kind of what I said before, this is it's hard. It's hard. It's hard work. Being in this industry, it's definitely not something that is easy, but that's also a good thing because usually it's the hardest things in life that are the most rewarding and that are worth it. And aviation to me is that. I love my job because it just gives me this sense of satisfaction, this sense of accomplishment. I feel like I'm helping people and getting our guests safely to where they need to go. So it's definitely all worth it. But there have been some struggles. It's not an easy career. So just want to give just some advice if I can. I don't come from an aviation family. I don't have an aviation background, but I quickly realized in training I need help. I need some help. I didn't have a dad or a mom that I could go to and ask these technical questions to, or an uncle or an aunt or anything like that. So I needed to find someone that I felt vulnerable with to open up and ask those stupid questions that, maybe you don't feel comfortable asking in class. So to anyone out there, if you don't come from an aviation background, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to. But what I do strongly recommend is find yourself a mentor. Find yourself someone that you feel vulnerable with, that you can open up to and ask those, stupid and silly questions. Get connected with organizations that will connect you to mentors. Organizations such as OBAP, Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals. That's actually who I went through back when I was in college. And they connected me to Michelle Scott. She is just beyond. She is an amazing mentor, amazing friend, amazing person. She was in the Puerto Rican Air National Guard. Now she flies for FedEx. And I literally could call her up and just ask her anything. Hey, the airspeed for this, or hey, what do I do in this situation, or diversions, how do I use this E6P, and, all this stuff. She was there. Another great organization, Women in Aviation, they also connect people to mentors. So I highly recommend you reaching out, getting connected, finding a mentor, finding someone who can help you, and it will just, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's life-changing. It will kind of help those struggles and those hard days when you have someone that you can, just truly go to and confide in. And Michelle has definitely helped me on my journey. And, part of the reason why I'm here at Alaska, is because I did have that help earlier on in my training when those hard days, came. We're getting kind of close on time. I hope I was able to answer everyone's question, and help out in some way. As I, wrap this up, I just want to say thank you all so much for joining me on this Friday afternoon. Thanks for spending time with me and chatting. And I just want to leave you all with this as we go into our weekend. Here at Alaska Airlines, we have core values. And one of our core values is be kind-hearted. So as we, go into this week and so on, I just want us all to take that core value with us. Let's be kind-hearted. And let's share that part of the Alaska spirit with everyone and anyone that we can. So thank you all again so much for tuning in, and have a great weekend. Bye, guys.